Hi, I'm Dan Silberberg. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Those are the words of Carl Jung. They are the basis and the foundation for this webinar that Anno and I will be conducting called Paradigm Shift. So, Anno has spoken to you of different styles. I want to speak to you about paradigms. What are they? How are they formed? And how are they reinforced? So, a paradigm for me is basically an operating system. It is the values, the beliefs, the behaviors, in certain cases, the choices and emotions from those choices that actually create the life we're living. And where do we get them? Well, we get them from our parents, from mom or primary caregiver. We get rules from early school and education. We get beliefs and rules from our religious institutions. We get them from cultural norms. We get them from institutional norms, political norms. So there's a way of acting in the world. And as a young person, from 0 to 10, we have really no analytic mind and we have no filter. So as these different beliefs are downloaded into us, they actually become an unconscious way of acting. And then what happens out of that is we create mental maps and we create self fulfilling prophecies around our beliefs. So let's say, for example, that the family system is money's bad, money's dirty, people with money take advantage of others, people with money are angry, people with money aren't nice, people with money take advantage of others. That's a particular belief around money. Now, as you grow up and you're about to go into the world and make a life for yourself, how do you plan to go in and value what money can be? So, money could be all those things we just discussed, but money could be good. Money could be an ability to gain freedom. Money could give me the opportunity to donate to charities and causes that I value. Money can help me with my kids to create opportunities maybe I didn't have. So both of those beliefs could happen. Which one is the one that you want to adopt? Which is the one that was downloaded into you? And which is the one then that creates this automatic behavior? So a paradigm is basically a belief system. I call it an operating system. It runs by default. It pretty much is below the level of consciousness. So, for example, if you were to leave your house and drive to the grocery store, did you ever get there and wonder, I have no idea how I even got here? It's a default. It's so obvious and so repeated that you just end up there. You don't pay attention to the street names, you don't really pay attention to much. You just know that you got there. So, how we think about paradigms is driven both by nature, our genetic makeup, our ancestry, but it's also really through nurture. And the nurture is really the most powerful of how our belief system and paradigms get set. They get set by words and what we're told, they get set by innuendo, they get sent by unspoken rules, but we all know what they are. We get paradigms from facial expressions of, oh, that's acceptable, that's not acceptable. In the terrible twos, you're told no every 20 seconds. So, in order to be accepted, in order to be loved, in order not to be abandoned, in order to fit in, we as human beings fit into these systems that are created by others. Also, as children, how we learn is to mimic the behavior of others. So, when we're with family, or we're in school, or we're in our religious environment, or we're in the culture, there's lots of norms and rules that we all obey by. Some of them may work for us, some of them may not. So when we look at these paradigms, how do we reinforce them? Well, we reinforce them by having a behavior that we repeat over and over and over. Many of you have heard of this concept called confirmation bias. So if we have a particular belief, we tend to find evidence all around us that will reinforce that bias. So I don't know if you ever bought a new car and you got yourself a red Mustang, and all of a sudden you're driving and now you see every red Mustang on the road and you never had seen them before. This is part of how we confirm our bias. There's a particular comfort to a paradigm. It's like an old jacket. It fits well, it serves us, we're not in danger particularly, and so we don't really question it a lot. And then who do we select as friends? Do we select people different than ourselves, or are we more tribal to be with people like us? Do we tend to inquire of others their beliefs and how they got them, or do we tend to judge them and go, they're not like us? We tend to look at people as the same as more of a comfort to us. When we look at the family system, how is it that when we're in our 30s and 40s and we go home with siblings for Christmas, we end up acting like we're 13, 14, and 15? We're not in our agency, we're not in a stand for who we are. This is all part of how the paradigms are reinforced. And so from the webinar, what we want to be able to do is to share with you ways that we uncover what your current uh, issues are, what your belief system is, what your paradigm looks like, and we map it out so that it goes from the unconscious to the conscious. So, one of the things that we can take a look at, for example, is I'll give you one of mine. When I grew up, I believed that in order to be lovable, I needed to achieve. So I was extremely curious intellectually. Education was really important to me. Being smart was really important to me. Being able to communicate well, write well, um, be of value. All of those things, I thought the more I could do of that, the more lovable I would be in the family system. Well, it actually was an exhausting process. And so now, having spent 40 years in my own growth and development, things that I want in my life are there because they serve me, not because of how they'll be judged by others. So I think the webinar is going to be a really fantastic place for an experience as well as us being able to deliver information. So I hope that you'll join us. I hope you'll get engaged in seeing your own paradigm. There is a sense of humor about it, but there is also a sense of gravitas to it. There is a sense of this is so embedded in who I am and my identity. It can actually be scary to bring it to consciousness and say, you know what? I don't like that belief anymore and I want to change it. And there's some really incredible results that happen. There's aha moments, there's joy, sometimes there's tears. It's courageous, it's for the audacious ones. And I hope you'll join us and see what your paradigm looks like now and the journey to create the one that gives you the life so that you can be truly who you are. We'll look forward to seeing you. Thanks.